Go. Here we are, another Saturday Night Live Zoom, Saturday, January 25th, 2020, and very special guest, Vima is back.
Aloha, everybody.
uh,
Thank you.
to fill us in on what's been happening in your life.
Oh, where do I begin? So let's narrow it down to lifestyle.
Sure.
Let's narrow it down to Master Fast. You really get to how things evolved since I've last spoken with you, or like even last did the Zoom. I believe it was shortly after my 108-day fast. And that, how many years ago? Was that 2 years ago? It was 2 years.
About.
But the beautiful thing about that is that even though it happened in terms of measurement of time a couple of years ago, there's still information that trickles through now.
Yeah.
And what is relevant now, as was relevant as that at that time, is the constant evolution of lifestyle and change. And it just feels like a constant transcendence, because there's a lightness, not only in the consciousness about food, about eating, about the depths of conditioning and really unraveling all of that, but also how it permeated and still permeates in my life. As we speak, I am moving. So now, after the first Master Fast, and I've attempted 2 more, and every time, one was 40 days, one was 60 days. But every time I did any fasting, I wanted to get rid of more stuff in my life, external stuff, as well as, of course, the internal. But it's a little bit more in the internal comes from more realizations and awakening. And Rena, we talked about at one time surrendering. There was a post that you did that was so beautiful about just surrendering and really understanding that when you more or less discard from the extraneous stuff, whether it's conditioning in the DNA or things that we've taken on, as things fall away, the capacity to surrender is so much easier. And hence the fasting process has gotten so much easier. At first there's like, oh, I'm not going to eat that because I'm committed to this Master Fast, and I want to do this. And then after a while it was more organic, more natural. But it takes time. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So I'm finding that now I'm going to be shifting into like a meditation center. I'm going to be teaching at a meditation center here. And my room is this big compared to what I'm accustomed to. Therefore, more things have to go and must go, because I was feeling it even as I was transitioning, that I just can't take this with me and just get exactly what I need. Yeah. So I remember the first Master Fast, and I very clearly remember, and I wrote this down for you, walking into the health food store. And this is a very, how do you say, they're very, very particular about what they have there. Everything is vegetarian and vegan and, very, very, very particular. Mm-hmm. But they had prepared food. Mm-hmm. And I remember walking in and looking at the buffet, and it just dawned on me, I have so much in me, I couldn't even think about eating another thing. And I knew at that time that I was so full of it in so many ways that I had to do something, So not just it just seemed like a matter of moments. It could have been just a couple days. I can't recollect the gap of time, but I saw a video about a fellow who just came off of a master fast, and I knew that that's what I had to do. I knew it, and I went into it full throttle, as opposed to taking time. But I knew I had to do it. I planned to do it. I took all the right steps, but I knew that there was no other option. And so that really initiated me into becoming more and more aware of a lifestyle of fasting. And I think I think I mentioned in the first interview that I always dreamt of being an herbalarian,
Herbalist.
herbalarian, herbalist, whatever. But really feeling the potency of herbs and how I would feel them in my organs when I would drink teas, or I would feel how they would affect my disposition or my blood, my mind. So since then I've gotten a lot more into that particular lifestyle, as opposed to eating once a day. Going back after Master Fast and once a day, it kind of evolved into, okay, and I think there's a liquidarian, they talk about all that, and I just let it happen organically and took my time. And the times that I really felt I needed to clean out and recalibrate, so to speak, I would go back into the Master Fast. And now I do Master Fast once a week on Saturdays. I have a routine. And then on Sundays, I do dry fasting, which is not fun for me. I don't like it, never did. I don't know if I ever will. However, I do know the benefits. I feel the benefits of it. I don't go into it, oh, yippee skippy, I'm going to dry fast today. It's more like, okay, it's Sunday. No shower, no water, no this. That's Sunday. I'm just going to go into my meditation, just let it go at that. And the thing that I really love after dry fasting is the bubbly.
Yeah.
That's it. I just know come Monday evening, I am ready for bubbly.
So you start when do you start? On Sunday evening?
Saturdays I do Master Fast, and then I go into a process, my meditation process, when I wake up on Sundays. And usually I wake up between 3:30 and 4:30 every morning. So that's how I measure it. And then I go until the Monday, but usually Monday afternoons is when I take the bubbly. Oh, it could be, maybe over 24 hours. I don't know. It just seems like that's the natural cycle that's taking place.
Nice.
I'm just letting it happen. And I noticed in the first, from the first Master Fast, and even the couple times when I've attempted, when I did the 40-day and the 60-day, that I saw my mind go into places where this is how it's supposed to be, this is how it should be, et cetera, et cetera. And I realized more surrendering was much more beneficial for me than having a preconceived idea. Plans are good, routine is good, and yet to monitor it and constantly keep your eye on the growing carrot under the dirt is not a good idea. Do you know what I mean by that? It's like pull the carrot up to see how much it's growing and then put it back in the ground and check it out. Yeah. So rather than monitoring myself like that, I just felt like I needed to just surrender to what was right. And so the rest of the week, it's usually just one meal a day, and it's predominantly raw foods. Sometimes I make an herbal broth, And I'll put spices and herbs in a broth and warm water, and have that if I need to warm up. It's been a little chilly here, believe it or not. So yeah. And in the mornings I have my tea. I love my herbal teas in the morning, and to get the day going, and yeah, and then do the yoga and all that stuff. Yeah, I drink tea while I do yoga. They say you're not supposed to, but in my own private practice, I can do that. You know, I've got license. So, so now it's more. Now I'm doing. I'm very consistent with the master fast on Saturdays, and the dry fasting on Sundays. But right now I'm doing bitter is better. So taking bitter greens and juicing them, and things like that. High potency vitamin C stuff, you know, some citrus, but I'm using more hibiscus tea to integrate with that, and other herbs to amp up. There's an herb from Australia, Kukagoo. It's got a funny little name, but I've got a lot of amla and stuff from India, and kamkamu amla, and so rather than ascorbic acid, because to me that's really damaging for me. It's very hard on the kidneys and the skin. I can feel it. Yeah.
Yes,
So I'm using the herbs for vitamin C potency, that more so than, you know, popping pills or doing anything like that. So, but the bitter is better. It's like working. It's working. And go ahead, Ronan.
Do you still have the juice sometimes?
Oh, Master Fast juice? You mean? Oh God, yeah. The thing that I noticed about it is that I'm taking more lemon than I did before. Like when I was going into the 40 day, I was adding more lemon, and found that. Whereas at first it was just a trace of lemon, just one lemon, and that was it. You know, but now it's more that, and I've got my thermoses. I keep it nice and warm, you know, so yeah. What was I going to say about, I was given a Kalima board. And so I'm able to do my own cleansing myself without having to go somewhere. And that's fabulous.
Oh yeah.
Just a gift, yeah? So.
We love it. We love washing the colon, that's for sure.
Isn't that amazing?
Big fans. Yeah, there's nothing like feeling lighter, you know, it's so nice to release.
That's true. And we sometimes, because of where I am, we catch some very interesting Asian strains, so they say. And so that is like my preventive medicine, because everybody around, you know, coughing, sneezing, doing whatever they're doing. And I've just concluded it isn't about the virus. It's about how clean I am.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It depends on what it's latching onto. And this may sound a little odd, but I see them as living entities. Well, and if there is something equal in vibration within, whether it's in my mind or in my body, actually both, even my emotional states, ultimately, if I start cleaning out and doing, you know, basically doing praying or just keeping myself in the light, that helps me a lot with not catching anything. It's kind of like,
yeah, for sure. I believe we are all exposed. Sure, sometimes more exposed than other times to parasites, but I feel that when we're clean, they flow through us. Or even some people say they're created inside us, you know. But you know, they don't really stay there. I feel when we are cleaner, they flow. But when
yes.
you're backed up, you know, I feel this is like their kind of their food, and I see it as, you know, they're helping us process our waste, you know. So they're actually are there for a reason, you know. They're not there for no reason. So they're, at the end of the day, it's like it's good to have them if we are backed up. But when we're cleaner, they don't even. We don't. I feel, you know, and so yeah, so it you know, it all goes back to the obstructions. The more obstructed, the easier it is to catch things.
Yeah. One of the things, since my first master fast, I had a lump on my thyroid. And I noticed when as I was getting cleaner and cleaner, not only with the colon cleansing, but also with the lifestyle of eating, it's not there anymore.
Amazing.
It's not there.
You feel it?
Yeah, it was right here on this side. It was like protruding, like I think they call it a goiter or something like that. But I realized, doing lymphatic brushing and I do a scraping process that helps move the lymph as well. And because these things I just love. I mean, and I'll find the time of day to do it. If I have to get up at 2 a.m, I'll do it because it feels so good. So, and it is a lifestyle. But hold on, I'm going to adjust this here.
Yeah, I feel these things dissolve. I used to have a cyst as well.
Uh-huh.
I haven't been to my doctor for 4.5 years. But yeah, I used to have a big cyst as well, and it goes when when I'm eating fasting, clean eating. But when I get backed up, I feel I gain weight here.
Isn't that amazing? And a little swelling on the lymph on my collar, and it's gone. It just goes. So I can always tell now. But I do a cleanse probably once when I'm doing fasting, like I'm doing bitters better. I'm doing the master fast. I'm doing, my master fast on Saturdays and all that. On Mondays, I just want to clean out. I just want to clean out. And so once a week, but normally I do one once every 2 weeks. And then when I'm doing an intense fast, it would be like every day or every other day because I've got a big 20-quart bucket. That's a lot. Yeah, I got a big bucket. So
yeah, it's good to do them also before you're dry. This would make your dry much easier. So on the
Acha.
fast, like Saturday, I would wash my colon.
Okay.
And this would make your dry way easier. And when you break it dry, I would do the other one.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. That's very good. But I thought I would mention that I can feel a difference in the flow in my lymphatic system, and the lump on my thyroid is gone. And also, again, any kind of infections or anything flowing in the air, I either don't get it or it heals very quickly. And that's part of the colon cleansing. That's all part of the fasting as well. So
Lifestyle.
it's
all lifestyle.
Yeah, it is. And again, it takes time. And I feel that the inner inspiration will always guide you as long as you have a foundation to follow. Like for me, the Master Fast is a foundation to work with. So I can always reference that. And the sense of surrender is surrendering more to your intuition and really deep knowing that it's time to do this or it's time to do that. And even what to eat. I've got a lot of Korean friends and they have very good Korean food. Oh yes.
I love
and I know. And they eat a lot of Korean food, and I can't blame them. It's so delicious. But I find that when I join them, I don't say anything about fasting. Maybe one or two know, but I don't say anything about fasting. But I just look at the quality of fuel that's available there. What provides fuel and what doesn't. And some people would use the criteria of something being alive or something being overcooked. Like kimchi is really good. Yeah, and I eat kimchi every now and again. So that's all I have is a little plate of kimchi and some limu, some seaweed.
Oh, yeah.
But when I'm watching everybody eat, it's amazing how incredibly, even to this day, how tempting the flavors are and the smells. It's just like, wow. And the reason why I hesitate, and it isn't so much a resistance, it's more like a flow. What is good fuel? What is going to nurture and nourish my liver? What is going to take care of my body and sustain it? How, it's no different than a car, really. No.
Yeah. That, like, these days, I mean, Gino would say that food doesn't fuel us, but I totally agree with that. But I would look at which one is the least obstructive and delicious at the same time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
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 Like, you want to enjoy, and at the same time make sure it's not super obstructive. And that's all. But
Yeah.
the body heals itself.
We've been
Yeah.
taught that the body's like a car and this and that, but
Oh.
it's I don't see it that way. I used to see it that way.
Mhm.
But with the what we call the new understanding, we are beings of light, and light does not need anything heavy and dense matter to keep itself sustained. The only thing that matter does is hinder us. And when we start to realize what we truly are, it's not going to happen overnight for most of us to gain that remembrance, because we don't have to learn it. We came from the light, and that's what we are. So we just have to wash away the things that have been hindering us to realize what we really are. And once we start going down that path, little by little by little, our awareness expands more and more and more. And we start saying, wow, okay, now I have a better understanding, and it just keeps going that way. So that's the way it happened for me. Like, the description of, if you were given only one car you couldn't buy another car for the rest of your life, would you take care of it? And how would you take care of it? So think about the body like that in the material state that we are in. And that's a good analogy for people to comprehend and understand, but
Right.
we're so much more. We are so much more.
Yeah.
We are so much more. Go ahead, Vana.
Yeah, the physical body is physical, like a car almost, right? But the soul, right, is what fuels us. Really, I feel it's not. The physical body, I guess, is like a car. Right?
I don't look at food that fuels us anymore. I just the many experiences on myself and many other people have come to that realization that every time they go back to food, things are hindered.
Yeah.
So because we've been conditioned or whatever to believe that we need to eat, and we're not going to be able to just stop eating, because most of us will die, because we're not, the physical body, the mental and the emotional body is not prepared to come to the realization of what we truly are. So we will die. If we stop eating, we'll die. If we stop drinking, we'll die. So what we need to do little by little by little by little is gain that and work on, and it expands more and more and more. And that's all we can do. And it's just a wonderful
enjoy the
way
journey.
to do. Yeah, but like thousands of people have went through this very similar experiences. So the register hits home very hard of what I experienced. Food is not energy.
But it's
the body has to do work to allow that food to be used as energy. That's a whole different way.
See, that's true.
So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, and
I may be wrong.
It's sure. I mean, completely agreed. But also, the food is a form of pleasure, especially with people.
Enjoy it.
Like, there is energy there.
Enjoy it. Yeah,
the energy of
it's everything around the food is the energy. The food is the facade. It's the trap. It's the enjoyment, the socializing, being around the people and the energies, and
that's true. That's true.
The true
and the experience of the taste.
Yeah,
the flavors. That's nature, right? Like, that's nature.
The odors, the visual. That's where you get the true energy from. As soon as you put it in the mouth and have to process it, then you see a whole different thing happening. Like,
Mhm.
just think of it like so many people when they're preparing food and for their family, and they're just in that beautiful, joyful state, preparing all that food and everything.
It's so
Then
much
they all go
fun.
sit down and interact and this, and then they start eating, and then everybody goes to sleep.
I mean, that's why you go minimal, you go as clean as possible, less of
Yeah,
stuff.
but I'm just exaggerating.
Yeah, you don't want
We get the picture.
you don't want to eat a turkey, that's for sure.
Food is wonderful, you know, enjoy it fully. I love eating. But my body says, take it easy. You don't need to do it what
Yeah,
you used to do.
Interesting.
eating, but we love fasting more. This is, I think that's
Exactly. Yeah. I think, Gino, I fully embrace what you just said. I really get it. I get it. And that is a wonderful way to articulate it, because we are that. Even in our etheric, the capacity of being able to feel like we have 10 subtle bodies that surround us, and even going into the subtle, into the etheric, enhances our capacity to even, this is going to sound, well, it may not sound far-fetched to you, but telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I find that meditation is so incredibly wonderful, is because you can access those states. And the less I eat, or the fasting that I do, or even the light eating, that my meditative abilities to access more refined states is faster and far more graceful. Because with food, there is consciousness.
Of course.
You know, as you're talking about that, everything around it, there's consciousness around it. And even, you know, acknowledging, Rana, what you were saying, it does serve the body. And when I'm fighting with this, the herbs and the teas and things, is that for some reason I feel it's like a fortification of my organs. You know, there's an intelligence. One thing I wanted to add is if we, when I was doing the first fast, the first 108-day fast I did, I've done a fair bit of pranayama, yeah? It's breath work, yeah, pranayama. And I noticed every time I would get these very sharp hunger pains, I would breathe in and actually expand my stomach. It's a specific asana that's done, and then bring it all the way in 3, 4, 5 times. And the hunger pains would go away, because it just seemed like that there was circulation and momentum and movement, and the focus on light, the focus on bringing prana in. And this is something that stayed with me, is exploring more about pranic living. How can I live without food? Well, of course, not sure about the dry fast extreme, but the pranic living. And so when I did the 60-day, I started feeling that more and more and more. The prana, the you know,
Mm-hmm.
the feeling of that life force within that unifies with universal intelligence, so to speak, even beyond universal intelligence. And I think I mentioned I had death. I've had 2 death experiences, but the first one I was in the light. Without going into a lot of detail about it, but I saw my body as perfect and light. When I came back into my body, there were all kinds of injuries and things. So, and the process was, in my healing, I used sound to heal. I didn't use, I went through a windshield, so I had seizures, and worked with sound, did a lot of fasting. The most interesting thing about that was, I remembered the light actually had that experience of being that incredible light. And ever since then, trying to go back here. How am I going to have this within myself? How am I going to create this? And I realized it is all about, for at least in my journey, it is all about fasting. It is all about meditation. It is all about taking every moment I could ever possibly have and access those subtle states. And you can really feel it, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference in what comes to you in life, how you express yourself in life, your relationships, everything. And it's not easy. It's not, I more or less made it sound rather simple, but it's taken up many years imbued in that remembrance to access that as healing and the ultimate state of being. So, Gina, when you talk about we are light, we definitely are. We definitely are. It's almost sometimes you can feel like you can put your hand through a wall or something. It is, you don't want to do anything foolish, but you just feel that your surrounding bodies are just pulsating this life force. And it's so beautiful. This is why sometimes all that people, they're going through a lot because there's a lot going on in the world, but it's not necessary. It's such an illusionary circus, yeah? Because we are not that. And it's this incredible
Amazing.
distraction, yeah?
It's
But I firmly feel that more and more people that embrace Master Fast, that embrace a lifestyle, that embrace that their capacity to access these states is so much better, to move beyond what they believe they need to heal. And truly, there are people that really, really have things to deal with. And I know what that feels like emotionally, physically, even psychologically. I know, and know also there is a way to transform the energy and to transform and, how do I say, evolve or surrender into those states and find themselves as being themselves, as being light, yeah? As being that pure prana.
Surrender, that's a good word.
Oh, isn't it though? Isn't it? To know what to surrender to, that discernment, but at the same time, I could tell you so many stories. It's like, take your hands off the wheel, Vima. Trying to control things because, again, there's a preconception. Forget it. I've seen.
have to let go and have faith. We have
I've
to
seen.
go. We have to let go and have faith.
Yeah.
Faith,
Yeah.
I feel.
My producers, they work with these things called heart virtues, right? And which is all good and well. We talk about faith, compassion, empathy. But how can you talk about something unless you go through the experience of it to get to that evolutionary state? It's like the experience. And that's another thing about fasting, is that you're going through the experience. It's not something that you can read about and get much out of it other than inspired to take the journey, other than getting that inspiration to take the first step or the first 20 steps to move into that journey. Because ultimately, it's back to the ultimate self. It's back to your own supreme reality of the self, back to that light. Yeah. So when you talk about food that's obstructing, I get it. Yeah.
We love eating, but we love fasting way more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah. So you do both and enjoy both. Do more of what you enjoy more, you know.
Yeah, so you're basically doing like the level 2 MFS, one day on the liquid and one day on the dry.
Yeah.
And between
Yeah.
you're eating tea,
Just
you're doing the juice.
I'm doing my teas and herbs, and I'm doing my bitter is better right now. I'm doing my vitamin C reinforcement, and maybe 2 or 3 times a week I'll have a salad. Or, I there's one thing though that um, I like is Irish moss.
Oh, I
Mm.
love Irish moss. Yeah.
Isn't Irish moss?
Mm.
Okay, so don't give me popcorn. Give me a full bag of Irish moss. People think I'm crazy. I go to the movies with friends and they're just chomping on their food and popcorn. I've got my Irish moss. I'm like as happy as a bird in a nest. It is so good. It is so good. Yeah, and I don't need anything on it. You know, people
Absolutely.
say,
It's delicious.
yeah. And I
Nice
make,
mild
I
flavor.
know, crunchy, like just
yeah,
natural, salty. You know, like it's just so beautiful. And filling. It fills you too, and it doesn't make you feel heavy, right? It's just perfect. And it helps your
exactly.
bowels, right? Irish moss
Yeah.
was in the bowel blaster, right? To help you move your bowels as well. So it's
I think I've got a year's supply of it in mason jars because I don't ever want to run out.
I got a
It's a
couple of
it's a
bags.
it's a wonderful herb from the ocean.
Yeah.
Isn't it though?
Yes.
Um, but I make a gel, and sometimes I'll put that in the smoothies. You know, I don't do it with the bitter is better, but I do it with, if I were to do like vegetable. Usually it's just greens. I'm kind of off sugar for a while, except the master fast. I just don't have any desire for it.
Are you not doing fruits?
Fruits, I'm doing probably. I take papaya and pineapple, mix them together with some papaya seed, maybe twice a week. We have tons of papaya and pineapple here, so that's about it. But I have to have that inspiration to eat it. Otherwise, I'm on my vitamin C, bitter is better, other things.
Nice.
But some very rarely do I eat cooked food, if at all. I can't even trying to think when. I don't know. Maybe when I was at Whole Foods and wanted something 6 months ago, but it's like it's like I just have no desire for it.
Nice.
It feels dense. Yeah,
Mm.
heavy. Yeah. No more potatoes, no more rice. I thought I would die. I don't think I'd ever see the day, but here I am. It's like hallelujah. And it wasn't so much an objective. I'm not going to eat potatoes and I'm not going to eat rice. No, it was more or less, this is what I'm doing. And there's no desire for it.
Yeah.
Beets, I love beets. And
Do you cook them?
I have both raw and partially steamed, not heavily steamed, because the raw gets a little tough on my teeth. So I steam them very, very lightly and then
Yeah.
chop them up in fine pieces.
I bake them and make a beautiful salad, beet salad with them. Very
Ah,
simple. It's very simple. No oil. Just very clean. Yeah.
that's good. Love it.
Mm.
So I don't know. I can't think of much else to cover other than um, how this has set me from the very beginning on a journey, and even the efforts that I've made afterwards. Recalibration, cleaner and cleaner. and happier.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes we're not aware of it in the moment, but fasting, I noticed when I resisted, it was always difficult and emotional. You know, it's like, oh, I'm not going to, let's say hypothetically, I'm not going to eat potatoes, but oh boy, did I ever want potatoes, and just go through that. And then there would be emotions attached to it, emotions to not chewing, all of that. But eventually, I realized when approaching it from a state of absolute grace and just breathing, the resistance goes away, and whatever emotional imprints that are there, samskaras, vasanas, you know, things that are there from families or DNA or genetics or whatever you may want to call it, it just goes away.
Mhm.
You release it, understand what's going on, deal with the discomfort and the pain of it, and then just move on. Rather than taking something in to resist it. No.
When was your last long digestive vacation? Was that the 60-day?
There was, I think it was, I get them confused, Gino. I don't track. It was a 60 day, and that was about maybe 6 months ago, 5 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
When I first did the Master Fast, I went out and bought these thermoses,
Mhm.
which kept, because I liked it warm. It was something about the grape juice and the
Oh, it's really nice.
the
Yeah, it's nice. The herbs.
so I'd have a couple of them, you know, big liter things, couple of them full of juice, rather than having to cook it all over again. So that was really nice. So now I have lots of thermoses. And so I'm putting different teas during, you know, my daily, I have like my kidney tea in the morning, liver tea at a certain time. You know, I put these herbal teas at different times of day.
Right.
No, I think things out that way.
Keep it simple.
Kiss it all the way. Yeah. So, but that 60-day was definitely recalibration, but it actually, I wanted to go the full 108, and I for some reason I just knew it was time to stop.
Mhm.
It was right around the 58th day, and I said, okay, you know, breathe my way through it and just see if I can get past this obstacle. But it just felt like it was time to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I'm a huge fan of doing long digestive vacations, but what most people have shown us is just way too powerful for them emotionally. They just can't handle accepting the massive metamorphosis afterwards, and they start doing crazy things and hurting themselves.
Yeah.
So you know,
Wow.
most people need to be on a slow, steady
Most
pace of
people are not
change,
ready.
because we've not been taught to make these massive, drastic changes in our lives and accept them and embrace them fully. So, you know, and the other thing is that humanity as a whole is at its probably most toxic, obstructive level than it's been in its entire history, for all we know. And
Mhm.
it's a lot of work to purge that out and bring balance to that. So, for most people, yeah, slow, steady, master, short fast, breaking the fast over and over and over. If you can master that for 6 months to a year, then yeah, jump into a long digestive vacation, because you know what you're going to be doing when you come out. You have to be even more focused to continue to do that, and you know, expand on that.
Yeah.
And that's the way we'll see more people be able to sustain themselves. You know, people look at me and they want to do what I've done in 30 years
Oh,
in 108 days.
yeah.
And you know, yeah, you can speed it up with the understanding we have now. You can speed it up, but are you emotionally prepared? That's the question, because it's all about intent and emotion. the motion is the seed. The physical stuff is easy. Fasting is easy. Well, not say
I mean,
easy,
you
but
can
it's simple to
imagine.
do. To do the long fast, like we've had many people coming from sad diets jump into 108 days. It's not a problem. The challenge is, what are you going to do as a lifestyle after? Are you going to go back to your old ways? Don't even bother doing 108 days. Okay, you're going to have the experience. You're going to have that in your memory.
Yeah.
And yet maybe you may return, but you may hurt yourself so badly because you don't have the understanding of
Yeah.
what's going on and the massive changes and state of emotion that's being transformed, and to be able to accept the new you, because there will be a new you. There's no going back to what you were.
That's very true.
Right?
Very, very true. And I like the idea of, oh, I'm sorry about the ringing. I don't know if you hear chimes, but
Oh, that's
that's
wonderful. Don't worry.
okay. It's, um, uh, but it's like bit by bit. I feel that, I've spoken with you about meditation,
Yeah.
and meditation is
Very
the same
important.
thing, vitally important. And now that I'm moving into a temple, I'm going to be having more access to be able to in an environment that's very conducive to meditation and teaching and passing things on with it. But also, because I can't wait for this next phase that I feel myself going into. But to me, the fasting parallels meditation, because there are certain points in the process of accessing our more refined, subtle states that there is a lot of fear that comes up, resistance that happens, the sense of losing pieces of yourself.
Right.
And
That's a big one.
Mhm.
yeah, and you don't realize they're false pieces unless you really move through it, breathe through it, process through it. I remember once I went through like 3 months of just I'm going to die. Yep, I know it's beautiful over there, but I don't know if it just is incredible deep death, sense of death and dying. And I realized just 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 bit by bit every day, just keep on moving through it, keep on going through it. And it just chipped away. And then in my waking state, realizations would come like, my goodness, there's just energies. I have no cognitive calculation of where it came from, who it came from. Is it me? Is it that? Is it them? Yeah, I had no, and I just said, just let it all go. Just let it go. This is, my little storms in the process of the sun shining in between. And it's all part of nature. It's all part of the intelligence of the pulsating earth and prana that moves through everything, all of creation. And once you start surrendering to that and really feeling it and seeing it, you just get, wow, I'm really nothing. Yeah, you're just nothing. You're just here, you're everything and nothing. It sounds crazy, but the parallel of the two, that's the thing I noticed in the 60-day was the parallel of how meditation and fasting and all that comes up in the process is the same,
Yep.
is the same. And when you talk about emotions, huge, because it's all related to mental states, emotions, again, conditioning. So it's so deep. It's so deep. And people are afraid of the pain. And the thing is, when the fearlessness happens, like there is a workshop I did called The Sacredness of Pain, to really be able to just go through it. I'll tell you something in a minute here, but just to go through it and just see the dynamics of the universe and prana working through you and just allowing it. It's almost like you do become the observer of all that's happening, the nervous system, the blood flow, everything. I fell down some, I learned that when I had the accident with the windshield, but I also fell down some stairs it was about a year ago, and really hurt my feet quite badly. And at that time I was fasting as well. I should implement that as well, because I couldn't feel everything flow through me, the life force, the healing life force flow through me if I ate. My little Korean friends would bring food over for me, and it's just like, no mie, no thank you, I can't eat this. So, but it was like every day, and I really enjoy. I was off my feet for 2 months. I could feel the nerves and the tissues all connecting, but I could also feel the pain of it. And I would just move my ankles a little bit more and just a little bit more just to get the flow so it didn't stagnate. And it hurt very badly. But it was just like, wow, look at that. It was just like jumping between worlds of feeling the pain and then becoming the observer. And so, and that 60-day was all about inspiring me even more to become the observer of the observer and know the true sense of who I am is not the pain. Because people will identify, and I would have to say in the past, I have identified myself as the pain or discomfort or a disease, or I've got a thyroid problem and things of that sort. But when we access the prana, when we access the light, when we're fasting and keeping those subtle states really alive, like it's right at your fingertips, it's almost like you can't go there. You can't create density in thought, density in emotion, and density in nurturing, physical nurturing, to be able to heal and heal thoroughly. Eventually, I went to a couple of fellows here that are what they call in this culture bone setters, because my feet were starting to take odd shape. And no matter what I did, I could not, I couldn't straighten them out on my own. So I went to go see these fellows, Lomi people, and they straightened out my feet. But even in the process, they were with me 100% of the way of gradually getting my feet back onto flat, stable, onto a flatten out, as opposed to bending in at the ankle. It was amazing. It hurt, and at the same time, they understood what I wanted to do and how I was processing the healing in that. And I also told them about fasting. Oh, you're Lolo. They told me, oh, you're Lolo, you're crazy. I said, no, don't eat anything and heal, you know. So
Yeah, healing is pain. Pain is part of healing.
exactly.
In all forms.
Sure, yeah.
And
Exactly.
the emotional part is the biggest one that many people are not ready to face. And if they would just allow the process, surrender, and embrace it, they're most people are this much away from uh, a massive change in their life, and they just stop the process and because of fear or whatever.
Too much pain.
But the whole thing is, to be on a support system like we have here. I remember at the beginning when you started coming on, you were on every call. You're doing your homework and seeing what's happening, and
It's so good.
you're good. It's just
Yeah.
it's funny to have watched how in the last 4.5 years, but really in the last 30 years, most people are just not ready to commit, and that's the way it is. And I've accepted a long time ago.
Yeah,
you have thousands of people going through now. Before it was small numbers, now it's thousands of people.
just be the change.
It's just the way it is. The people will tell you one thing and they'll do the complete opposite. It's just that they're just not putting in the effort and time and commitment and energy to allow the process and surrender to the process, and give it the time it needs, and whatever that time is, because time is irrelevant. But 6 years in doing this is nothing. It really is nothing. It's nothing.
Or like
I used to,
days.
go ahead.
Sorry, sometimes I see complaints, after a few days of doing a master class, and I'm thinking, did you read the detox symptoms? You just started,
I, it's interesting because teaching and working with people, especially with meditation, and you see them go through, even people in India, Vima ji, my meditation was very bad, too much thinking, and they don't realize that it's all part of it. I can't quiet my mind. So there's a lot of teachings out there, your mind's got to be quiet, and this is how you do it, etc., as opposed to being with it. And then eventually, naturally, you click over from identifying with that mind into observing this is what's happening, and it gives you another level of mastery.
Yeah.
So you, with your process, Gino, and both of you actually, and all that you've experienced, you kind of want to step into the footsteps of the master that's already climbed the mountain, so it can be so much easier.
It helps.
And it does. Well, it truly does. I mean, I found, I still listen to some of your videos and things, and it's just like I'm still like inspired. It's like, this guy's done the work. He's lived it. He's cleared the pathway. She's cleared the pathway. It's done. But I feel some of the reasons why people have a difficult time, because the relationship they have within themselves and their connection, because again, to me, fasting and meditation are almost one and the same. They do require certain things to get past obstacles, illusionary obstacles. However, meeting people for where they are at and understanding that they don't understand, and you say, this pathway is the experience for you, take another 10 steps, and then you'll see for yourself. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But the relationship they have with themselves in connecting, and we can say spiritual. I believe everybody's spiritual, and nobody's more spiritual than another. It's just the capacity of embracing that aspect of yourself, and what percentage of your subtle pranic spiritual being you're going to implicate in life. Is it 100%, or is it 15% because you've got busy things going on that's distracting? And so everybody's got this incredible, beautiful potential in every way possible is available to them to ascend and heal and realize themselves as being that beautiful, effulgent life and supreme intelligence. Mm-hmm. So master fasting is one way. Some people are afraid of that light within them. Sometimes because it's a mystery. It's something that they're not familiar with.
Letting go of parts of yourself, as you said earlier, that's a really tough.
Yeah.
We call it letting go of our caca. People, they want to hold on to their caca, right?
I mean, we are all to the different
all
degrees,
of us,
right?
of course.
We are responsible. We can't blame anyone for anything,
Exactly. But also to show them that they are responsible. I think that's something that's a really vital element that I find, to say, well, how is it that you came into seeing this or doing this, or why? Show them that, oh yeah, I get what I did. I understand. I noticed with a couple of my teachers, wasn't so much. I told you about my Kundalini yoga teacher in India. He was just a couple meals a week, 3 meals a week, little bits and things, but just how he was, he didn't have to say much. Of course, there was a bit of a language gap, but I got it. And it wasn't easy, but I got it. Eventually got it. And same thing after all these years of working with him, years of all that time, and then now his passing and my being in this phase of my life, I'm getting it. I still feel like I'm in kindergarten.
You've been working for decades.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but still, it's like you still feel like a child. You still feel like that there's more beautiful discovery. Yeah.
We know nothing.
I know we're nothing. We know nothing. We're nothing at all. Except there's mud on that path, and I know enough to wear boots.
Right.
You know, and so I'll put your boots on. Otherwise, you walk barefoot in that mud, you're going to slip and slide and go through a few.
That's perfect what you said. We know what to do now. We do have a roadmap of what to do. Intricacies and all that, we don't have to worry about that, but we have a basic roadmap, and we keep refining this roadmap from everybody's experience, and that's how what MFS is all about. And it works, and it's wonderful to watch the transformations happen.
Oh, isn't it incredible? I mean, I'm seeing some of the people in the beginning as they go along, and I'm watching. Even though I don't put in my 3 cents, I'm watching, and it's a wonderful thing to see. It's a wonderful thing to witness. Absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah, we have quite a few. Renka is asking a question.
Renka, aloha, Renka.
Hi Vima, thanks so much for sharing. Did I understand that you are on teas and green juices all day? How much green juices daily? Thank you.
It varies depending on how I feel. Like sometimes I definitely do the bitters better. So I will juice all those herbs, the vitamin C, and sometimes I'll have nothing for the rest of the day. And then sometimes I will have put in my Vitamix, I'll throw in, I strip the celery though, but I throw in celery and how do you say, what is that? We have these green mixes that has all different kinds of greens. Throw that in, a little dandelion and lemon, and I put that, and I'll drink one of those. So I would say I would go with the teas and everything. Oh gosh, everything kind of averages out to be a couple liters. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just one day. Like today, I just had vitamin C. I haven't even had my green drink yet. And it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't need it.
Your vitamin C, you mean the plant, what was the one you used?
The herbal vitamin C drink, yeah. I use, yes, herbs.
No, it's that Indian one, right? What's it called?
The Indian amla.
Amla, that's it.
Amla.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
Indian herb. Yeah, it's loaded with vitamin C.
Yes, and there's one, I never get it right. A lot of those Australian, I spent time in Australia, and some of those names are very tricky on the tongue, but it's, I'll text it to you later, but it's a really incredible herb. There's so
many wonderful herbs on all continents of this.
Yeah. And then there's camu camu.
Camu camu, yeah, it's another one.
Yeah.
So there's so many.
And I mix that in hibiscus tea water. So
wonderful.
I think one of the things too is lymphatic herbs for lymph, that's important, and doing skin brushing and things like that. That's also been very, very helpful in this. And perhaps it was part of what I was doing with the thyroid. that was part of the participating element of it, aside from colon cleansing. But I think that the colon cleansing has been huge, huge, and not afraid to do it. When I'm fasting every day or every other day, just do it.
Very important, especially when.
Mhm.
Brittany, do you use dried herbs in tea or fresh? And for amla,
Some
fresh, where do you get it?
When I'm in India, I get amla fresh. When I'm here, I have to get it dry because they have gooseberry everywhere in India. It's very common. So I just blend it up in hibiscus tea water and chug it down.
Alenka, will you be able to continue with colon cleansing in the temple where you are moving?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't move there if I couldn't.
Thank you so much from Brittany.
Yeah, this is a priority for me. If there's a setup where I can do my colon cleansing and I can do my juicing, because some people say, oh, it's too loud or whatever, but I need this because this supports my teaching. This is the vehicle in which things are. I'm the flute, and the flute's got to be cleaned out.
Is the temple in Hawaii?
Yes, it's in Hawaii. It's a meditation center. It's very beautiful there. It's very, very beautiful. And so I'll be conducting classes and dark room meditation sessions and things.
Yes.
Are you going to live there? Like you're going to
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, literally. I like that environment. I like it. I don't know what else to say. It's just something that's I lived in ashrams most of my life. I've lived in Dharma Center, lived in a monastery for a couple of years. I just like it. Some of it got a little oppressive with the Dharma and how things should be. I don't consider myself a traditionalist, even though I've studied in the Tibetan, Kagyu Chinling, Tibetan Buddhist lineage, and Hindu, the Vedas and things. There's some very beautiful cosmic information with that. I just find that this particular situation I'm going to be living in is, even though it's Vietnamese Buddhist in nature, it's still non-denominational. So I'm able to teach the Kundalini, I'm able to teach the meditation, I'm able to do satsangs there and things like that. And share things about fasting and herbs and stuff like that, which I really love. And do retreats and things. So, and it's very convenient living there. Very convenient. So.
Will you have access to the internet from there?
Mm-hmm. Everything is there. It's up on a hill, so it's in the city, but it's still up on the hill, and it's very, very quiet. Very quiet.
Very nice.
Yeah. No traffic, but it's very nice. Very nice.
Amazing.
I believe cleaning out got me there. It was just absolute kismet because I was just ready to transition into possibly doing something on my own. And I know I don't want to do that right now because I still have to travel. So this is absolutely perfect. So the more you drop, the more the universe works through you.
So beautiful.
Yes. I didn't ask for a small room because I do need a large room, but I got a small room and still feel blessed. That's so irrelevant.
Right.
And you get your own bathroom?
I share a bathroom with one other person and that's it. And there's plenty of space for my Kalima board. I do it sideways on the toilet. Because I scoped it out. Okay, where am I going to put my bucket? Where am I going to put my, how am I going to, where am I going to put my machines? And I've got this slow masticating juicer, and then I've got a fast juicer, and I've got this and that. Have to have my machines.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions for me, Vima? Now's the time.
Now's the time.
Let's see.
Not many questions. Maybe that's a good thing. Yeah. I would also like to add on top of everything is that if there are any new people, go bit by bit by bit and just watch yourself. Just observe yourself. And people who are trying to heal anything that's going on in the body, or even the mind for that matter, Master Fast is fasting is equally as effective on the mind and the thinking process and emotions. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Somebody put something there. Hello, whoever you are. I can't read it.
Yeah, can you share a bit about your childhood, Diane?
Childhood. In terms of lifestyle or diet, it was basically European in a way. Salad, meat, potatoes, vegetables. That's basically how we ate. Breakfast was non-European, kind of American. Eggs, I don't do well with bacon, but we would have eggs and bacon. Well, and then cereals got gradually introduced as I got older, like Cheerios and Wheaties and those interesting prefabricated things. I didn't like them so much. But that's how I ate as a child. That's how we were oriented. Every day was meat, potatoes, another vegetable, and salad, iceberg lettuce salad, and ice cream before bed if we were good on weekends. As far as when I was in high school, I found this book, Back to Eden, and that totally changed my life. I've also found this other book called the Arantia book. Okay, mind you, going into private Catholic school and reading the Arantia book in library was not the wisest thing to do. But it was great. I loved it. But Back to Eden was very significant in my thinking very differently, or actually aligning with the truth of what I've known in terms of how to eat. And so I remember being able to get some yogurt, and it grossed everybody out. This is yogurt. This is really good for you. At that time, there was no Yoplait. Yeah. There was my friend who is Lebanese that had labna. And so, this is really delicious and it's good for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's when I started changing, actually, when I was in high school. But then went back, and then I read in the Psychology Today the effects of vegetarianism, being a vegetarian, and the effects that it has on the animals. So then I decided not to eat any meat. And we had a dog, and the dog would be under the table. So down would go the chicken because I didn't want to hurt any more chickens. And then later in life, um, just embracing more Buddhist teachings and also the Vedic. I met my first teacher when I was about 12 years old. And so there was samosas. His wife would make samosas and khichdi and all this wonderful Indian food and no meat. So that was another thing that was a reorientation into my thinking away from the basic European diet. But and also the idea of how things are made. You know, you had to have a certain, she would light incense in the kitchen and she would make the samosas and things of that sort. So these things were gradual implements in my expanding my awareness about food. But later also there was granola. So I really liked granola, but then started on a very strong meditation path and not moving much and eating a lot of carbs had an effect, you know. And then of course, even no matter how much yoga I did, rice and at that time pasta and things like that, eventually pasta went, but you know, eating all of that, I gained weight. And then I started to realize there's a different way of doing things. So yeah, it was gradual over time. I hope I answered your question. But as a child, that's what it was like. Emotionally, as a child, it was, you know, the typical growing up, interesting conflicts and, you know, going into...
Where were you born again?
I was born in the mainland in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
St. Paul, yeah. In Minnesota.
Your parents were from where?
St. Paul. My parents, European, predominantly European, and there's Mideastern roots on my mother's side.
They came from, they immigrated?
They immigrated, yes.
You know, talking about the yoga there, when you're master fasting and you're living it, loving it, you're going to find out the truth when you're doing yoga on how different foods affect the physical big time.
Big time. Oh yeah.
When you do yoga, you're going to feel, but when you do yoga, you are going to truly understand of what we talk about, how foods are obstructive. And you know, when you let it all out and everything starts opening up and people start growing and expanding, it's very clear to me on the Arnold Ehret's beautiful simple formula he gave us 100 years ago: V equals P, take away O. Remove the obstructions and watch the vitality expand.
Yep.
And that's all all it's about. So we keep things very simple. We continuously work through what we call the art of subtraction. We continuously letting go. As we move along, as you were just describing, you find more things. Oh, I got to let that go too, and let that go. You know, it just continues that way until you end up with pretty much nothing, what you carry on your body, because that's all you need.
Exactly. There's in Kundalini yoga, I teach Kundalini yoga, and there was a time, maybe about 15 years ago, I would notice that students would have a very hard time emotionally getting through things, and people would hear things about Kundalini yoga, but my teacher approached it from the third eye and the crown chakra. It wasn't something that people associated with Tantra, and even Tantra as it's known in the West is not the real deal. It's completely immersion with the divine is true Tantra, and all the other stuff that goes with it is. So I'm trying to say this as simply as possible. I would notice that students would have breakdowns and crying and things like that. And I always thought that was good, but I realized that it was sometimes a little too much. And so even in the fasting process, I couldn't, especially the 108 days, it was difficult for me to do a full-on set. And plus I was doing Ashtanga, which is a very demanding form of yoga. hatha, but the system, my source system. And I realized that there's a different way of doing these practices that was much more graceful and equally as effective. And, you know, at first it was like, I'm too weak to do this or all of that. And I realized, no, I have to let that go. And just understand that bringing in more prana into the system, that was the dynamics of my energy. And I may not have been able to, you know, dance on the ceiling and run down the street at 50 miles an hour. However, I was able to take in all aspects of life very gracefully, see it, observe, feel my own sense of presence very, very differently. And still, the body and the mind and the emotions had the same benefit. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. So I had to alter some of the practices. And so now when teaching, I approach it much differently so that students are ushered through it far more gracefully. Because I do not approach yoga as it is popularized in the West. I approach it from the merging of the divine self in the cosmic science of what it is, in moving past obstructions, as well as integrating a lot of pranayama and moving prana and light through the system. Yeah, it's really important. Because it's true, Gino. A Korean meal before a day of yoga, not so good. Been more done that.
After yoga. Diane says, thank you. What gifts did your parents pass down to you?
I would have to say that gifts come in many different packages.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we are dealt with challenges, it's the greatest gift of all, because that prompts us into understanding that what we are experiencing can be a challenge, and then it becomes illusion because it's not real. So what gifts did they pass down? They showed me a lot of things not to do. And they also were incredible creative forces in my life. My father was an amazing, hardworking, creative man. And, he could take mud and build a mansion. This man was amazing. My father was amazing. And my mother, had an intelligence that was incredible, very fast, very gregarious, very beautiful woman. They were both very beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. And then through their conflicts, I learned a lot, and how the conflicts they had with each other affect others. And I felt that's a very important thing for me to understand for myself, is how am I going to relate to people? How am I going to be honest? How am I going to be authentic? How am I going to quell and temper my anger, work with my own emotions? And that's been a journey, because I've seen also there are genetics. I can see things that my grandparents gave me. I can see things that my great-grandparents gave me that kind of settled in those invisible cracks in the essence of our being that's really not the truth of who we are. And at the same time, everything has been an absolute gift, no matter what kind of package it came in. So we have this concept of perfection. I believe perfection sits in the light of who we are. It doesn't necessarily fit into the things that we're learning in the process to realize that we are perfect. So it's been messy, it's been broken, it's been painful, it's been enlightening, it's been joyous. It's all of those things mixed up into one big bundle of experiences that more or less lead me to realize that everything is an illusion, and I'm just here as a vehicle of light, and strive toward that in every way, whether it's master fasting, whether it's meditating, whether it's eating. I'm just being careful, because we're powerful. And I mean power in a sense that we're powerful. We are powerful. Not in the force in our speech or in our physical presence or what we do or how we react, but how we are in our being connected to that beautiful, sovereign, autonomous connection, communion with light. We can say God, we can say creation, creator, the universe, whatever. And then you realize everything that comes out of your mouth should be flowers from the heart, because this ripples for miles. It ripples, and it affects everybody and everything, and even little bugs. I used to I in the ashram in India, every Friday night I was in an ashram, and I was with about 40 young boys, and from 7 to 16 years old. Every Friday night we'd have our story time, and I told them about this very mean tyrant and how he would collect fingers, and the boys just loved that, and how they were just really, this is a juicy story, auntie, oh boy. And then I said, then he finally realized his ways, and I talked to him about how this ruler changed, and then all of a sudden he was able to understand the consciousness of an ant and of a blade of grass. So of course in India at the ashram, we'd be on these like mud-like floors, because at that time that's what they had, and there was a circle of ants around me, and there's a circle of ants around one of the little boys, and he said, auntie, look, ant consciousness, because it was like they were all moving in a radius around us and not coming onto our bodies. So I feel that, if I'm going to work with people or teach people, even write or even talk to the lady at the grocery store, is that I want to be as clear as possible. So that's just like the daily goal. That's the objective, is to just do that love thing, Yeah. And it's really actually kind of easy, but then I don't want to be slapped down by something very interesting tomorrow that'll say, okay, see how easy this is. So, but it is. And I can see it coming. I can feel it coming, and I know within me I'm creating that. Yeah.
Brittany had a question.
Yeah, back up, Brittany. We missed that one.
So yeah, Brittany was saying, are there any ashrams or spaces with teachers that you recommend most on the East Coast of the United States?
Actually, yes. In New York. There's one called Shanti Mandir. It's in Walden, New York. Shanti, that means peaceful house. Shanti Mandir. SHANTIMANDIR. Muhammad Leshwar, Swami Saraswati Nityananda is the guru there, teacher. Yeah, and I do think they have yoga there now. They conduct yoga sessions and things of that sort. And it's very Hindu and Vedic in origin. So you'll be chanting the Guru Gita every morning, and you'll be eating beautiful food, and it's a lovely, lovely place. Yes, I've known Gurudev a very long time. Yeah.
From Diane, beautiful. Thank you, Curtis. How have you handled balancing your spiritual journey with societal influences and expectations, money, career, etc.?
There's no separation. You just handle it.
Mm.
I mean, when you think about it, see, some people think that spirituality or being spiritual or a spiritual life is separate from who we are. Okay, I'm having a spiritual life. So everybody has this idea of, of if you're a spiritual person or a spiritual teacher or whatever, everybody's spiritual. But it depends on how much you decide you want to integrate in your life. Now, I've known people in the music business that are very greedy and very money hungry. And so one would say they're not spiritual. Well, I saw them as spiritual, but they're making choices that don't necessarily match mine. So someone who may teach, or that's what I do. I am committed to a lifestyle. I am committed to living that refined state of awareness, because I've been there. I saw it in the death experience. I know it's taken a lot to work through realizing I can live this way. And it's a matter of creating it for yourself. As far as money is concerned, well, what is money? You know, it's important. We have to have it. We have to go to the grocery store. We have to, and I charge. It's as simple as that. People think I wrote something in a magazine a while ago. Whether it pertains to me or Guru Dev, there are a lot of things that are set up um, in ashram situations that are nonprofit, so they get donations, and so that's one way of working. Me as an individual, I've not done that yet because I don't want to be bothered with the board of directors. I've dealt with that when I had an ashram in India, and I don't want to do that right now. However, I do charge. And the thing that I wrote was the relationship between the master, and the student, the master. They're all one in the same, as far as I'm concerned. However, you're going to go to a lawyer to seek legal counsel for their expertise. One is going to go to a mechanic to change the tire on a car. You pay the mechanic. Okay. When it comes to a spiritual teacher, be it in whatever capacity, a teacher in any capacity, they're giving you something that is absolutely priceless, a remembrance of who you actually are, the reinforcement of the spine of your spirituality being the spine of your existence, rather than your existence governing you, is priceless. So it's no different than paying for a mechanic or paying for a lawyer. Come to an ashram, come to me, come to anyone in the temple, learn to meditate, do all of that. All good and well. There should be support there, because how it is now is very different than it was. Even I can remember doing these things 35 years ago. You don't have to be do everything for nothing, because it doesn't work that way. So how the system is here is people get compensated with money, as opposed to people bringing fruit. Like when I had my ashram, people would come see me and they would bring me fruit, and there'd be days when I had so much food I'd have to give it to some people in the village, But that was how it worked, and then the contributions were given to the board of directors. But when you come down to the brass tacks of it, support each other. What difference does it make? Well, why not? What are we afraid of? And this whole thing about money is just weird to me. It's a necessity, absolutely necessary, but it's morphed into this. The more I have, So the more you have, how are you benefiting others? What are you doing for others? What is the value of what you're paying for? This capacity of discernment to me is vitally important. So when someone comes to me, or when I have a class going on, or when I'm, conducting a meditation, I want to give them the fullest of what I can give them and guide even if there's 50 people, everyone is different. So you know that you're supporting them in a certain way for them to have a better life. So to me, that's valuable. And then when they have a better life, it's like the dominoes effect. 5 people in their lives have better lives. You see that person change, 5 people are affected by that change. I don't sit there and keep count, but I do the best I can do in their presence to give them full capacity. And so on that, I have value. I have value for myself. I have value for them. I'm not responsible for them, but there's value. So how I balance all of those things, to me, there's no difference. I'm no different, walking in the grocery store than I am meditating in my room. It's no difference. No. I hope that answered your question. So you can live your spiritual life. You can have a job, but while you're on the job, be kind, be loving, be generous, be open-hearted, be trusting, have faith. And that's a process in and of itself. And how do you do that? Fast here and there. Do your fasting. Change yourself. Meditate. People think meditating is spiritual, and it's really not. It's a cosmic science. It's an actual science that has an effect on the brain and the nervous system. And also, it affects your perceptual reality. It's not, anybody can do it. I have little children. My little nephew, 2 years old, sit like this, Blake, and you can sit against the wall, but his little spine would be straight and he'd be just there sitting. I see colors. I mean, really? What's so hard? So, but it is a science. It reconfigures so much stuff. So you got to want it bad enough. So what kind of shoes are you wearing when you walk through life? How are you going to be? If you want to wear how do you call them? Steel-toed boots? Mm-hmm. Great, wonderful. If you want to wear silk shoes, then go for it. It's your decision. So spirituality to me is just the way I am, the way you are, the way you are, the way all of you are, everybody is. It's just is. It's realizing and connecting the dots in how you act, interact, react that makes the difference. And how you adapt to change and how your capacity is to observe. Not take everything as being real. I hope I answered your question. It's no difference. And so to me, if I'm going to make money, it's going to be clean money. It's going to be through my efforts. It's not going to be, I made this commitment when I was young. My grandmother always wanted to go back to Europe after the war. She didn't want to stay in America. One set of grandparents did not speak much English. And I remember seeing my grandmother and how bitter she was about that. But she wanted to go back, but my grandfather couldn't. And I realized, I think there was something that snapped in me when I was a kid, was I don't want to do anything that isn't from the spirit of what is my soul's path. Sometimes it's gotten a little confusing, but for the most part, at least I know whatever it is that I've generated so I can go buy my food, that it has been a reciprocal relationship predicated on my spirit, my soul, my sense of being pono, right with everything. Because I never wanted to have that bitterness that she had, and I felt so bad for her. She just had this longing to go home and couldn't.
Oh, yeah, felt helpless. She couldn't. She felt helpless. Probably she couldn't do it. She couldn't do anything about it.
And that mentality at that time, marriage, and also the circumstances by which they left Europe in the first place. My grandfather did not want to go back. No. So we learned. See what my grandparents gave me? My grandmother gave me that peace. They gave me music. But that's how we do it. Yeah. I think sometimes, the money thing, it gets confusing because people think it's so separate. Oh, but how can I explain this? It doesn't have to be.
No, it's not. It's just a small part of whatever you're doing.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be. And there's so much emphasis on accumulation. Same thing as stuffing up, same thing as obstruction. It's probably good I'm hearing this at the moment because there are some things I might have to let go of more. But it's a constant flow of the simplicity and the resonating pulse of prana, just begging for you to open your heart to let it move through you. And when that happens, the money will just happen. Exactly. Money just, and we have an idea of how much we need or want, have all these people, and God bless them all. But you can have abundance. Well, you know what? You can pay me so I can be abundant, so I can tell you how to be abundant. And this is all good and well, and there are a lot of principles around that. But when I see my friend pulling weeds in her garden, I realize that the primary operating principle of the universe is abundant. It's already there. So get rid of everything so you can tap into that and be fulfilled by everything that is around you. Everything that comes to you, you're grateful. Everything you give, you're grateful. It comes from a place in the heart. I mean, really, it's such a lie. Economy is such a lie. It is such a lie.
Yep, we've the whole thing about the original purpose of money, the way I see it, is just to entrap us. So we have to just allow that flow to continue. Because once we start focusing on the accumulation, like you said, it's just like, binging, eating and eating and eating. It is the exact
Same thing.
You said, you hit it right on.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
flow, let it flow.
Do you know what? I just noticed my computer is down to 7%. I started with 90. How that is possible, I don't know. But so if I should just drop off, I wasn't kidnapped or anything. It's just
it's happened before with people.
Otherwise, we'd be going to the other end of the house, and I'll have to dig up my cord out of a box, and that's not fun. So
almost 9. We're almost at 2 hours. Yeah, the money is it's energy, It's like exchange of energy.
mm-hmm.
You give me something, I give you something, and with love.
And I've looked at the aspect of money and relationship, and we talk about the feminine principle, and I don't mean women exclusively. I mean the current of the feminine principle that runs through the dynamics of our cultures, all cultures, and it is almost like the possession of something that doesn't need to be possessed. Everything from land to other people, and so money is all wrapped around all of that. But so it's a very complex matrix that is not congruent with the natural flow of human of of human, real, deep, authentic human heart. And, it's very conditional, very conditional, and possessive. It's all about possession as opposed to flow. I could talk more about this, but
it's more than money. I feel the desire to achieve things. Like studying and achieving more and more and more stuff. It's about more. Accumulation.
Yeah.
Not only with money, with many things, degrees, professions, and different experiences. I don't know. Like different work experiences, so you can a higher position. And now, sometimes you get trapped, and I feel like it's a cycle, and it's important that we step out of it sometimes and ask ourselves, are we happy where we are? Because sometimes we don't,
I think
when we're younger.
one thing that I thought was really interesting, because I cleared debt a long time ago, is debt. And so people say, oh, you don't have a credit card, or you don't have credit, or don't have this and don't have that. And they said, well, would you like a credit card? And I said, that's against my religion. And what is your religion? Soul enhancement. I don't feel to be enslaved to anyone, or debt to me is a form of enslavement. Even if it's convenient to me, it's still a form of energetic obligation to something that you've already received from. And so on that principle alone, I have found that things flow a lot more gracefully with that. I'm more at ease in my heart with that. One of my sisters had big debt, and I just said, Jules, get rid of it. And she did. She's finding she has more. I don't buy anything unless I have twice the amount available to purchase something. It's just some silly things in my head, but I feel that it's something to live by, because it doesn't feel good to have debt. No matter what it is.
It stays in your head. It takes space.
Yeah, in your energy. Yeah.
Diane, was your family of origin any particular religion?
We were raised, like my grandmother, were Druze. So they're Christian Druze. So we were raised Catholic. And then my father's mother insisted we go to private Catholic schools, even though it wasn't something that the teachings didn't resonate, but there were certain things that were quite beautiful. But I've always had an interest in world religions and other cultures ever since I was really young. Oh, my first best friend was from Africa. It's just how the soul was wired before popping in. So as far as religion is concerned, ethnicity, religion, we're Druze and then Catholic and European.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I was interested in Sufism and Islam. I love the music. I love the maqams. I love just the heart. Participated in the teke for a while, and lived that kind of life, because I felt that there is something, the undercurrent of sacredness in the music that they had, that was very healing and had an effect on people in every single solitary religion I've explored. And even the Hawaiian lore, the Maori lore, the indigenous grandmothers in Australia, the song lines they have there are just like, wow, those people are so connected. Unbelievable. Very, very incredible. Yeah.
Steve, possible coronavirus at a local university, a student showing symptoms.
Send them some GANs. Zinc and CUO. I'm so glad you brought that up from Brittany. I'm in $1,000 of debt, of medical debt. I feel like it was my fault, but I'm working on it. But it's heavy and makes me so depressed, like in chains.
Yeah.
It pulls me from my true focus. I wonder how it will clear because I won't have much money. That was confusion with the companies that I found out because my parents don't know or tell me, so I had to find out what was listed wrong this year, so claims weren't covered. Thousands, and it makes me feel heavy.
There are agencies that can help her out, that will help reduce the debt and get out of it. And I think the thing is, start taking steps and reducing it, and then you'll start feeling really good about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just say, I'm finishing this off. I'm finishing this off. I'm coming to the light. And just look at it from going somewhere that is expansive and joyful as opposed to being pulled back by the heaviness of it. And there are resources that will help people. You know, I know a lot of young college kids that get caught up into things, and especially medical debt. Medical debt you can always work with. You can always, there'll be an agency or somebody that will help it out. And sometimes even, because I talk with people, young women, about this a lot, especially single mothers that are just making it, and they're, you know, $10, $20, $30,000 in debt. And it's like, you know, let's just, and every time you get paid, celebrate the payment, expand the light of that, celebrate, as opposed to saying it's not enough. Do what you can with what you have. And you'll find it's a very beautiful, beautiful path, a journey. It's a journey. And who knows? 5 years from now, she'll be talking about how she got out of it, how she worked with it. You know, seriously, every little thing is a teaching. You know?
Yeah, that is a form of imbalance, stagnation.
Yeah. So it's the mindset. She sets her mind onto taking the momentum and the movement of moving forward, then even if it's $5 here, $5 there,
Yeah.
merrily we go along. You can't stop living.
Consistent.
Keep it flowing.
Exactly.
Have faith. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Nice to have you back.
Oh,
Catch up.
hello.
So beautiful to listen to you. It's always very
Lots of wisdom.
lots of wisdom. So much to learn from you, from your sharing.
Oh, and so much from you as well. And even some of those beautiful people out there in the community. So touching, so sweet. Constantly learning and just feeling what they're going through. It's just awesome. It's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Any more questions, anybody?
Was she right? Brittany, again, everything's possible. Clear the body, give the money out for we need very little. Make music, breathe, let go, and love and rise. Thank you for speaking tonight.
Yeah, you're good on it. You're well on the way. Just throw the rock off your back and put it aside and start walking the path. What did one young woman, just incredible, and she just said, I'm still honoring $5 a month. Cha-king, 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 cha-king. Trying to figure out it's fair or not fair. I said, stop it. Just $5 a month, and somehow or another it's working. And you know, this whole thing about a credit report and all that, why is that? Why? Think about it. Okay, you can buy a house if you have credit, and if you have this, and then what is, I remember when I first started going to India, everybody would buy their houses with cash. You work, you save, you pay cash. And even some of the, you know, more, some of the Asian cultures here, You say you work hard and you save, and then you buy your condominium or your house or your mansion, you know. It's reprioritizing as well. You don't need all the furniture. You don't need the potato chips. You don't need, you know, every little bit. It's true. Every little bit helps.
Eat every day. That's a big expense. Food on people. Some people spend a fortune.
Not to mention going out, going
Oh.
out. Places.
Restaurants and stuff.
Thank you, Master Fast, for that. But one thing I didn't mention, I mean, $50 at Costco would set me up for 3 weeks practically. It was like,
Wow.
and so from that, I learned, you know, you can get celery for so much. You can do the dandelion greens. You can do, the economics of my food has decreased immensely over the past 2 years. Immensely. And it's possible. There's not enough food. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. Who buys that anymore? Oh my gosh. There's not enough love. Come on. What a fairy tale. What a circus.
The cost of food has skyrocketed here in the last few years.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, glad we have the concept of less is more, huh?
Exactly.
You know?
So we can still enjoy everything.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy
That's
it
why
even more.
Pardon?
We enjoy it even more because we don't do it as often.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, food is much more appreciated when you're not eating every day.
Oh, we lost her.
Okay. Curtis, you had your hand up, but she
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to follow up with that earlier question.
How are you? This is the first time we see you.
It's taken more courage to come on here than start the Master Fast.
Where's Ben?
See if I can. No, he's whining. He struggles in the evening, so this is kind of his squealing hour.
How old is he again?
He's 14.
Yeah, he's up there. Hey, Ben. How you doing, buddy?
Hello.
Awesome.
So yeah, I was thinking of asking Bev how she dealt with Rosie having cravings and whatnot.
Bev's not here.
She's not here now.
No, I just meant on the page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask her.
I think she had some cravings. I remember, right, Rosie?
Of course.
Yeah, I was actually listening today. It was like talking about eating Kleenex and whatnot.
Yeah, of course, because they're not used to that natural instinct anymore, fasting. They've been domesticated. But also, you know, what do you call it? Tag Michelle. She's been she's the one who was brainstorm behind the pet protocol. She's been working with animals 40 plus years, and she has worked with all types of different animals, and she's there. You know, just tag her on the page.
I would say similar to us. Be consistent with the fasting, especially the dry, right? The daily dry.
Same principles as us. Keep busy. Go for a walk. Yeah, get some fresh air. Grounding. You know what I mean? So when there's nothing to do, what do people think about? Food.
And also, it's the obstructions really that give you the cravings. So the clearer the body, so
more enemas, etc. Use the same similar tools, but you know, Michelle may be able to assist you with some other ideas. But it's basic principles.
I think it's just going to take time.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, the more we go on in years, ourselves and the animals, it takes a little more time to clean and patience.
He's on full master fast or hybrid?
I'm trying hybrid. The only thing is he has a little bit of like dried treats after his meal, but and the 24-hour weekly I haven't done yet just because he was struggling with the 12 hours, and so I figured, okay, I'll stick with the daily, and then if I can get them up to the weekly 24 in maybe a few months.
I would slowly move away from all that dried corporate stuff.
Because that would
myself.
give cravings, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Find
So he has his feeding window from like 3 to 4 hours. I try to keep that minimal, but
Are you doing chicken frames? What are you doing?
yeah, I blend it up
Okay.
with the pudding, and then I do the herbs, the tea,
Is there anything,
enemas,
any fruits or anything that he really goes nuts on?
apples.
Okay, well,
But
maybe.
I was thinking, okay, the food combining might not be the
Yeah, I
greatest.
understand. Apple, if it's apples, actually, apple is one of the few fruits that, they can actually help assist a little bit of digestion versus most other fruits.
On an empty stomach, fruits like us.
Yeah, it's always the best, but I'm he's saying to work as a treat. I'd rather give him an apple as a treat than the dried fruit. Let's put it that way.
Maybe start
The
with
dried food?
The dried treats, you said?
Yeah. We like dehydrate some liver and chicken and whatnot.
Oh, you make it yourself?
Yeah, it's all raw.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought it was like a store-bought dried biscuit or something. No, okay.
Yeah, my mom's a little wigged out about just giving them raw meat, so we dehydrate it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Those are okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, just keep working at it, keep cleaning, and as you can see, everything's possible. Rosie was a massive transformation. It's what now? It's over 2 years since the initial 108 days. You know, people think the dog's a puppy, and Rosie's up there too. I think she's probably about 10, 11, yeah, somewhere around there. She's up there.
Yeah.
So, everything's possible. Keep working at it. Allow, and you remember the dogs are under the influence of the owner's emotions. The caregiver's emotions. We don't own anything.
You're doing well now with your level 2.
Yep. I stick to it pretty good. It's more the emotional stuff.
Of course.
I can be pretty unbalanced.
And you're
But
doing well with the food the other days?
what's that?
The food the other days, the other 5 days.
Yep. I do mostly fruit and a bit of, I've had a bit of squash and have that one meal.
Awesome.
Yeah, be patient.
Yeah, the raw food I was on before, the good thing I had going, I was doing liquids mostly in the morning and that, so it kind of taught me discipline with eating, but
Yeah.
I'm sure as time goes on, like everyone, I may have more challenges with deeper fasts and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's why we, suggest taking your time and working at it slowly. And when you're ready, you expand on it. From 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, when you keep going. And when you hit about that 6 months to 1 year for some people, dive into a long digestive vacation, and you have a clear vision of what it is now that you got to go back to and expand on. You can't go back to your old ways, but I mean, living the lifestyle. Master fast and breaking the fast over and over and over and over. This is what we do. This is the lifestyle. And if you can't master that, a couple, 2, 3 days a week over and over, how are you going to master 108 days? We've seen that most people are not going to be able to master that. So master little every week, and that's the best way we can see for most people to go down those roads. 108 days, when you're ready, embrace it.
Maybe in 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
Take
rush.
your time.
There's no rush. Whenever you're ready.
Maybe you can start with 3 weeks and 6 months or something.
Yeah, whatever. Long digestive vacations are extremely powerful. Extremely. So much so that it just knocks people's socks off and they don't know what hit them emotionally. And you should know by if you watch people's interviews and read the pages and so on and so forth of how dramatic it affects people, you know. And it's when you're ready, that's the way to go.
You're doing absolutely great. Uh, really amazing.
Thanks.
I'm so happy for you.
I spent 6 months listening to every Zoom before I even
Awesome.
jumped in,
I can,
but
yeah, I can tell you have done your homework
It's easy to see.
yeah.
from your post.
But yeah, I would have, if I hadn't listened, I would have tried 40 days or whatnot. But I was thinking,
Slowly.
Initially doing 3 to 6 months is a long time before you do a long one. But then I was thinking, just after a month, it's flown by, you know?
Yeah.
It's, and like you said, it's like some people do it and they're back eating steak and potatoes. What good is it?
Yeah, it's
It's
horrible.
very hard on the body, very hard. Some people are not around anymore because they just couldn't stop eating.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
they become sick, and they can't succeed like that. This is not the way. The way is to make it a lifestyle.
You know, when you're in a serious imbalance situation and you go do a long, fast, and then after you go back to your old ways, body's got pretty good memory to
Yeah, it will
put
show
you back on your ass very quickly.
I have a question. You say how it's like twice as long after the fast.
That's,
Is that because the body's still dumping what was loosened up?
oh yeah,
Okay.
physically, mentally, emotionally, all three.
Yeah.
So it's a whole process of fasting and breaking the fast. That's why the saying goes, anybody can fast, but it takes a wise man to break a fast. Because breaking the fast is the toughest part that everybody has with.
It's a big shock for the body, so we really have to know what we're doing.
It's a long process. You're stripping down, and then you got to allow the body to build. And you want to build on proper materials. The best materials is no thing, but most people are not ready for that. So we work with the least obstructive materials as possible to allow that process to unfold. And it's amazing what happens. Right?
Yeah.
So that's minimum, at least twice as long as from what I've seen in 3 decades. It's at least twice as long process. So for 180 days, you're looking at 3.5 months, another 7 months or so. You're looking at about a year process window from that experience. So if once you come out of it and you break your fast properly, the metamorphosis goes way beyond 1 year because you're living and loving it. If you go back to your old ways, you're putting the body through tremendous strain, and emotionally it's a huge challenge and pressure on you and stress. And it's just like the body is, and everything's very confused which way it's got to go, because you first stripped it and it was in a beautiful state, and then you're trying to obstruct it again. So it's a very delicate place for people to go through.
Because they simply go back to the normal, which is not really normal anymore for the body. It's a shock.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a breatharian in 8 days, 10 days, 11 days, whatever. Okay, maybe 1 in 1 billion may be able to do it, because nothing's impossible. But are you one in that 1 billion or whatever number it is? It doesn't matter. We don't need to be any heroes. We understand the process and we work with it.
Allow it to
we know
evolve.
It works. We know it works.
Yeah, it's important to allow the process to happen by itself, assisting your body with the master fast is a roadmap, but allowing the changes to happen slowly as you are ready. Most of us are not ready for big changes, so we do it slowly.
live it, love it, embrace it, and surrender. Allow that process to just do what it has to do. We don't have to overthink anything. Yeah, monkey mind's going to continue, but go back, use the tools to get you through the difficult, challenging times. And we repeat it over and over and over, and we expand on that, and we get a new understanding. Answers start popping up more and more in plain sight because they're always there. We don't have your answers for you. They're there for you, right in front of you. You'll see them unfolding. There's no rocket science here. Space technology. Rocket science is the dinosaur ages. But lots to go. Did you get involved in making any GANs materials?
Not yet.
Yeah.
There's just so many tools. I just want to,
Yeah, literally.
let them become second nature, and then I'll,
Yeah.
Slowly.
do more. I just made calcium water today. I got the big mason jar, so.
All right.
Awesome.
That's all we can do, Curtis. Your last post, you've seen a lot of progress already. And
1 month of doing it compared to 6 months of listening, no comparison. And it's like I'm doing 2 days a week for 1 month. It's like I can understand why 108 would send some people sideways.
it's dramatic. It's
'Cause-
full force, letting it all flow.
Yeah, like Susan with just eating, it still feels like on the eating days, I'm still purging. It doesn't smell like fruit coming out.
Yeah, exactly. This is where the prudence is in doing it consistently week after week after week, so the body is continuously on a de-obstructing state versus continuously being in an obstructive state. That's the difference. And once you understand that and you comprehend it and you experience it, and then you can open up and expand on it because you feel better and better and better. Yeah, you're going to go through the challenges, the healing reaction, so on, but overall, the feeling starts getting better and better and better. And as you've listened to many people's stories, this is what unfolds, right? And the miraculous metamorphosis happens. Nerves regenerate, bones straighten out, this and that disappears. People start growing, and all kinds of wonderful things. Purging out locked up emotions that people have had for decades or millennia from their ancestors. Everything just starts flowing. And you must be ready for that. You must have an understanding of all this and how it will unfold. It'll unfold differently for everybody, but you have to be ready for it, and you may be down 2 years down the line and nothing really major happened, and all of a sudden, wow, you started purging some deep emotions and you don't know where to go.
They're already coming now.
I'm just giving you an example. Like don't expect. You don't know. You just surrender to it. For me, it was in 5 years. Bang, big, massive lung detox, man. I thought I was done with that stuff. Nope.
One thing I've been noticing early on is like, I may be imagining it, but emotionally, I'm having memories because I had the psychiatric stuff like 7 years ago.
Okay.
I'm having emotions that I haven't felt since before then.
They're purging.
And I didn't realize how. It's just my belief, because actually when I was in Asia, I could taste the stuff doing a weaker fast. And it's like, okay, and you hear these things, but to have the experience of like feeling your brain pulling and just it being locked into your physical and the emotional, I think it's been huge in my emotional imbalance the last so many years.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's very interesting and important for most people to understand that and how everything starts going in reverse when you start purging, and all these things will come up. And people, a lot of people that don't do their homework will take things as negative because they don't have the new understanding. But once you do, and it's there, your consciousness takes over. Wait a minute, this is part of the process. Let me surrender. Let me embrace it. Let it flow. Let's use the tools to allow the process to unfold. But what happens when the understanding is not there? Start eating, block it up, right?
So something Angelica said was like the other day. She has challenges when she eats, or she has challenges when she fasts.
Of course.
And for me, it's like, do you want to just create more obstructions and deal with those challenges, or just deal with the challenges from releasing previous obstructions? The choice is yours, you know?
Yeah. That's the way it goes. And it's all wonderful.
Anyway, I've done a lot of talking, so
That's okay.
I'm back.
We were here for it, you know. Anybody can jump in anytime. It's open. The floor is open. And if everybody's done, we'll wrap her up. Thank you so much for joining and sharing.
Vima is saying, so she had to, she got, you know, disappeared.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask her, not so much about the money. It was just, I didn't know, I didn't listen to the beginning. I don't know if she's always been in an ashram or if she had to like transition out of a career path to do that.
Maybe
So
ask her on a post.
yeah.
Yeah.
She'll answer.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be posting the video under, you know, the poster thing.
Yeah.
So you can ask her in there.
Steve, yeah. Steve, how are you doing? Sorry, before you go, I would love to hear.
All right, I guess. Losing the bees really got me.
That's tough. How did you lose them?
I like them more than I like most people, to be honest with you. They just died. I lost the whole damn hive again.
Wow.
Thousands of them.
It happened last year as well.
Last year, 40% again last year in the country.
You gotta get some GANs. Start, you know, putting some GANs, spraying the whole thing with GANs water and stuff. Putting some GANs materials around them.
Yeah, I ordered a couple new hives, so I'll get all that in place before they get here.
So once they die, you have to get rid of the whole hive, or?
I don't know. Because I don't know what they died from.
Right. You can.
I don't know. So if there's, it's either the pesticides, it's either poisons or the stupid mites that they're so susceptible to.
Mm, yeah. Where?
You know, I felt it. You know, I felt this. I felt this here. It's the first time I felt something like this in a long time. And my daughter kind of pisses me off that it had to come through this way, but
yeah. That's it's a sad loss.
yeah, it was really heartbreaking.
How many hives do you have?
Oh, just the one here. My friend has 4. He lost one last week. We found it dead. 2 out of the 5 so far.
Wow.
Last year we lost them all.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing it. Oh, he's 82. He's been doing it 50, 60 years. He says, never been like this. He never lost them. Then he never lost them. They kept perpetuating.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
I would be working with some GANs materials because something's going on.
Well, it's going on everywhere. It's not just
Yeah.
here. It's actually, it's all over the planet.
And we know.
Worse here because we allow all this, especially here in the States, because we allow all this freaking spraying of everything.
Yeah.
And my neighbor sprays his lawn every year. I mean, they're literally 3 feet away from it.
Got to have that green grass. With
Absolutely.
dead.
He does.
Yeah. Yeah. That's our conditioning. So,
Yeah.
man, just.
But that's all right. I've been fasting for 3 days, so I probably feel it more than I would have if I was eating.
Yeah, with the new moon as well, it was
Yep.
intense, right?
Yep, and I just did 40-hour dry, so I was on the dry when I found this.
You can, well, for the hive, you can also bag it and ozonate it if you have an ozone generator. Completely sterilize it.
Yeah.
After you clean it out. There was, I remember way back we were selling ocean water. There was some people experimenting also with putting a little bit of ocean water in their hives and stuff. We're having some good success. But you know, you can do the ocean water dance. That's an easy one. Well, some maybe also protect it with nano-coated copper wire around the hives, so it helps protect it against microwaves and all sorts of frequencies and so on and so forth.
Who knows?
Who knows what it is now, right?
Yeah, who knows?
You know, your friend's been doing it all these years and he's never had these issues. So what's going on?
These last 5-6 years, it's been terrible.
We got to start working prudently and trying to protect it any way we can. That's all we can do.
Yep.
In the wild, where would they usually make hives?
Oh, anywhere. Trees. Inside the tree. Not,
Right.
and they won't make a big hive.
You got to be protected.
They're finding in the wild that the honeybees are exhibiting symptoms of Alzheimer's.
Whoa.
Yeah. Because of all that crap they're spraying. One of the main ingredients in that shit that they're spraying in the sky is freaking aluminum.
Yeah.
So what happens if they
For its reflectivity.
They
Huh?
can't remember.
They can't come back? They fly away and they don't come back?
No, they die.
They
Bees
die.
don't live very long to begin with. Bees only live about 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Depends on which bee. There's all different kinds of bees in the hive. You got the worker, the drones. Yeah, 6 weeks.
Wow.
6 weeks. I think the drones go 6 weeks. They may go longer. It might be I don't know which one it is. I just started. I'm not fully versed in them.
Slowly figured out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a learning.
They're fascinating creatures. They're absolutely fascinating. They work so well together. That's a loss. It's a big loss.
Yeah. They work as the collective with the field.
They work as a collective, absolutely.
One consciousness. Everybody knows what to do.
All it takes is one bee out there to send out that pheromone for danger, and they're there.
Wow.
They're crazy.
Do you suit up when you go work with them?
Depends on the weather. If it's a nice, warm, sunny day, not usually. They're very calm. When it's warm and sunny, they're very docile.
Mhm.
Depends on the hive too. I had my first hive. I didn't have to do anything. I could go in naked. They didn't bother me. Just that following hive, forget it. Sucker whacked me right in the eyelid.
Ooh.
They were not. Yeah, they were aggressive, but they're protected. They got the queen to protect, and they got the honey to protect.
Yeah.
You know, I keep other bees. I use the little guys, the real little guys, the mason bees and leaf cutters, they call them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're solitary. So they don't. They could sting, but they don't. They're not protecting anything. They don't have a queen. They don't make honey. But I've lost them too. They don't survive either. I've been purchasing them every year too. They are not surviving the winters. Just can't get them through the winter. The first year I did it, they came through fine. That was it. The last 2 years.
They're outdoors, the hives?
Oh yeah.
Can you bring them inside?
You want thousands of bees in your house?
In a garage or something, I don't know.
No, they believe it or not, they keep a healthy hive will keep that inside temperature at 92 degrees throughout the winter, no matter what ambient temperature is.
Really?
Absolutely. Just
Yeah,
that
it's 30,
just that
almost
flapping of the wings. Oh yeah.
30 something. Yeah.
It could be below zero on. They keep 92 degrees.
Wow.
Wow.
Maybe the weather
Yeah.
is changing for them.
Huh?
Maybe the weather is changing fast for them.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's more the shit and the chemicals and
All over. Yeah.
they're under stress, so they can't fight off these things that come. They're just under too much stress. And we don't even use them correctly in the country. I was reading about guy in Florida, Texas. I mean, thousands of hives, but he can't make it just by harvesting the honey, economically. So he rents them to the almond orchards
Yeah.
in California, but they spray the shit out of those orchards.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's losing more hives than it's worth. And especially and that's the other problem with it, is because everything's monoculture. It's almond trees and that's it. They clear the land of everything else.
Yeah.
So and the bees can't live on one thing.
Exactly. It's not natural.
It's just the stupid freaking practices that, especially here. 'Cause I see it around Europe. They don't do this stupid shit that we do here. They do their own stupid shit. Not when it comes to farming. They are-
Monocropping, yeah, it's futile. It's just a matter of time before things start screwing up.
Yeah. And then I start getting angry about it. So.
Let's focus on the solutions.
Well, the other bad thing is I went onto my Costco website and my grape juice is gone. Gone. So I ran up to the store yesterday. There were 7 cases left. I bought 6 of them. And then I have another Costco that's about the same distance away from my house. And I went up there after. Out. Gone. It's out. They're done.
Which juice do you drink?
Kirtland's.
Kirkland.
Kirkland, yeah.
It's got to be the price, because it's only like $1 a quart. It's $1.06 a quart at Costco. Everywhere else is $2 and $3 a quart liter, whatever. So I'm sure there's a supplier, which is probably Welch's, probably told them to screw off. We're not selling it to you for this price anymore.
Even ours, the Welch's, it went up like $1 since last year for the bottle. So everything's going up. Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the monoculture because everything's failing. The crop losses globally are just incredible.
Yeah.
There's a higher demand now for the grape juice, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, still kidding.
Yeah.
People think it's going to solve all their
The
problems
supply.
drinking cooked grape
Oh,
juice.
yeah.
It's why we can't find any.
Well, I got 17 cases, so I might be one of the problem. I got enough, I think, for most of the
No, but
year.
I mean, the average person looks at Masterfast cooked juice and they go buy their juice. They ignore everything else.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yesterday was a rough day, to say the least. Today's a little better.
Yeah,
That's good.
courtesy. Welch's is sold out half the time here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just stopped just to see what it was. I was getting 2 96-ounce bottles for $6.36 at Costco. And one at Walmart, one Welch's 96 ounce was $4.98.
That's
That's-
still not, it's not too bad.
No, but I'm saying that's, it's
Yeah.
probably why they phased it out.
Yeah, somebody's got to be making money, otherwise
Yeah.
they can't continue. So everything's skyrocketing, fuel, this, that, everything else.
Good juice too. Too bad.
Yeah.
That's all right.
You asked them to tell you who was supplying them. Maybe you can go to whatever. Maybe it is Welch's. Who probably is.
Probably is. Probably is. They're the big player in it. So.
Yeah, they're massive. They work with hundreds and hundreds of farmers.
Yeah.
It's basically like some kind of union who organizes the marketing and the farmers, supply. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Welch's are still really tight. Like
Yeah, I know that's been happening for the last year or so. They weren't like that before.
No, they were always like that.
No.
I remember my client, she approached, she called and she's like, that's like maybe three.
It's
4
been a
years
while, but
3
no, it
years
wasn't like
ago.
that before when we started. No,
Yeah.
I don't know that they would.
No other juice compares to the Concord.
Oh yeah, the Concord's.
I've tried some other juices just to break up the Concord a little bit. And it's like
Yeah, the Concord's really
no
nice.
comparison whatsoever.
It's got a wild strain in it. It's very powerful. There was one in Italy that I tried. It was really nice. I don't remember the strain, but it was really hard to find over there. I found it at an organic wine place. It was really expensive, but it was really good. Yeah. Judith, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do have my hand up. Hi.
Hello.
I was wondering if you think doing a massage, I'm trying to find a way to help myself because I'm a walking dead right now.
What? Sorry.
I'm trying to find a way to heal, like to help my body because I feel like I feel like I'm detoxing a lot, but I'm not releasing. And then I'm following the protocols. I'm drinking the juice. They happened the last 2 fasts as well, and that's why I stopped the fast the last 2 times, is because of this healing reaction they were coming up. And then at some stage I just couldn't handle it and I had to stop. But I feel like I'm not, I don't want to eat anything. I don't want to drink anything else. I know, like I'm not hungry, so it's not that. I just want to help myself because my soul, my legs, my back, my head, everything is congested and nothing is moving. And then I was trying to think a few massages. Do you think Thai massage will help?
Yeah, try doing
move things around.
You need some helping in moving energy. Acupuncture. Try. Have you ever tried ice baths?
No. I've been doing cold shower all this week to help. But I never done ice bath. I don't have a bath where I live here, so I can't really do it here.
How many liters?
But I was thinking, yeah.
How many liters are you drinking?
I'm drinking between 2 and 3. Sometimes I do 3 because I was doing 3 not because I wanted to, because I feel like I need to, because I'm so blocked up and I think it's moving and I'm feeling weaker and dizzy and every single day that I was drinking 3. Some days, I think at 3 days this week, I had 3 liters, but I was forcing myself to drink it. Even the 2, it's hard, but I still can do it. And I do between 6 to 8 liters of enemas as well every day.
Yeah.
But it happened last time, the last 2 fasts, but I just feel like this time it's not about pushing, but I already changed my juice the last 2 days. So I got green juices instead. That was very helpful when I was at work with the energy and slowing down the dizziness.
What day are you now?
but I'm on day 25 or 26, I think.
Okay. Have you thought of investing in a Kulima board?
Yeah. But my bathroom is tiny. I can't do a Kolema board where I live here. It's not my place. So like I'm just waiting, like in 2 months time I should get my visa coming through. Then I can move to my own space and I will get Kolemas and everything. But yeah, I've been looking like since last year.
Colonic?
Um,
Can you go get
but
colonic?
yeah, I just sorry.
Did you go
Yeah, I did Cologne, but I never had a good experience. I never had anything coming out, like zero.
This is how blocked
What's going on emotionally?
you're blocked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I'm having so much like this morning. I released so much. I couldn't believe it. So I'm because I don't have much money as well. That's why like maybe I'm gonna try something else than colonics, because I tried colonics and I never had any results, and I've got releasing from my own enema at home. So I'd rather trying something else. So I don't know if it's a good idea or not.
Yeah.
Um,
Massage, Aranka, the shiatsu, good shiatsu practitioner will move more energy. That's what she wrote. Yeah, the massage, Thai yoga, anything, the acupuncture, something to help. There's you're holding on to something somewhere, and you need to help. Maybe you need that assistance and help to allow the energy to flow so you can release. That's all it is. Don't get discouraged. Understand that things come up. As I was speaking with Curtis a bit earlier. Don't, you can go a few years down the road and something else comes up where you thought you were done with it. So just surrender, allow.
I mean, yeah. One thing, when you said in the future you're gonna move somewhere else.
yeah, like I should get my visa in 2 months' time. Then I will have my own space. So that would be just me, and then I will then have a climber board with me.
Maybe, maybe for now. I mean, I know you don't have the desire to eat, but you're planning to eat at some point. So I would say slow down by getting into the lifestyle at some level, and when you have your own place, I will get a Kolima and just you can go deeper. But every time you're fasting, you're having at some point, and you're like when you reach 3 weeks or more, you're having a hard time. And that's, in my opinion, because you're blocked. I mean, if you're not releasing much in the colonics, it means like you're really backed up.
Yeah, it could be that, but also some people, if they go, there's no chemistry with a colon therapist, you're not going to release.
No, I mean,
if you're intense, you're not going to release. So there's many things involved there. That's why, when you have a Kalima board at home, eventually you're going to see a whole different thing. Once you start getting used to that, you can have some very nice releases, and you can do it as often as you want. But in the meantime, start using all the other tools suggested. Are you doing breath work?
Yeah. I even do trampoline, like whenever I can stand up on a trampoline.
Yeah. Use some acupressure points as well, in the meantime, before you can go get yourself a massage or whatever you want to try. These really help, massaging the acupressure points with the burnt stick. That really, it really helped me when I did my first 12-day dry fast to get through the days. Some of the days I was really, really wiped out when I woke up. So that just helped the energy start flowing, and was able to get through the day.
And consider slowing down.
Yeah, anytime, slow down if you're
slow
too much
down.
for
Go
you.
back to food for now. For at some point,
Go back to green juices for a while.
But I will go back to the same issue. If I like, it's not. I'm just trying to understand, because I feel like
don't try
I
to
could stop now. Yeah, I know. I can't understand it. I know, I get it. But I feel like stopping now will be a waste of no waste of 20 days. It's not that, but I'm gonna jump to another fast again. I'm gonna reach the same issue anyway.
Why do you?
Because we've been
that thought in your head. Why?
When you move to another.
Because we've been like that for third time.
Okay, so that's the way it's gonna continue.
No. I'll tell you what's different. The reason I told you to break it now and fast later, a long fast, is because of the
Yeah.
Vima board. That's the only reason I said that. Because right now I feel it's not enough support. I mean,
Okay.
Steve can tell you that. I mean, when you reach about 60 days or something, you have like, it's just too much that you have to break it, right? And the Kolimas did help you so much. I mean, they helped you more with this fast, the last fast, than the previous one. Right?
I've never had two fasting experiences the same. Never. You may have some similar things going on, but they're never the same. So get those thoughts
But
out of your head and start using different words to bring out the forth with your consciousness. Let go of the monkey mind, because it has no power over you unless you allow it to. If you keep saying that, well, because the last few fasts was the same thing, then your next fast is going to be the same thing, right? You're going to have that same.
but we're not, you know, when you leave the fast, you're not leaving where you left the fast the last time, and you keep going. I thought that, you know, the how you clean your body, when you go back to it, when you take a break and you go back to the fast, actually you go back to where you left the cleanse kind of last time. Like, I don't know, doesn't even know if it makes sense.
Yeah, of course. If you're eating very, least obstructive foods, yeah.
Yeah.
If you, but if you decide plugging yourself up, no, it's going to be
So it
another
has
challenge
helped
to
you.
get rid of that. Yeah.
There's no question that you have helped your body, but I mean, yeah, if you're gonna eat, just eat, like and just establish a lifestyle. I mean, if you want to go deep, honestly, do the level 5 or 6. That's deep.
Yeah, 2 days a week. Eating.
That's deep.
You
will feel it when you do the dries and you do the liquids.
It just takes the edge off. You have some enjoyment of eating until your body's ready and your emotions ready to say, you know what, I think I'm done with eating for a while now, and you continue that way, and never say never. And say, oh, I'm never gonna eat again. Like, why would you have to say anything? That's a lot of pressure emotionally on us.
Like Vima said, she said it beautifully, and she's doing it beautifully for a few years now, organically. So she's going with the process and listening to her body, and just very calm about it. Meditation is very important with fasting. I mean, again, she says, you don't even have to learn it, just allow things, and be patient. Be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
You have the roadmap. Be patient with it. Be persistent.
Susan, Judith, I'm having a very similar issue. I'm so glad you brought this up. 16 liters tonight. I'm minimally releasing. Thank you for the conversation. Judith, history of any drug use?
Like, no, like prescribed, like for acne, like I used to be cystic acne stuff, so I had a lot of one for my skin.
Steroids?
But just period pain. That's what I really, like, something I was taking on a regular basis. It's just Panadol for my period pain, but other than that, no.
You're carrying a lot from your ancestors of where you came from. A lot happened in that sense, right? You had
or even childhood, I mean,
the whole thing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of emotions there, and you have to allow these things to be released. So I don't have a mathematical formula for you, but what we do know is when you continue and you surrender, the body will purge, the mental will purge, the emotion will purge. Just got to be patient with consistency and persistency, and continue. And if it's overwhelming and too much, we know what to do. We back off until a later time, and we go for it again. If it's too much, we back off, and we don't get frustrated over it.
The toughest thing is finding our balance between fasting and eating.
Mm-hmm.
Just make that your challenge. Fasting alone, you can do it. I mean, you cannot do it very well when the body is very obstructed and you can't wash it enough, At least have the tools if you want to do a long fast. Have I would have at least a Kulima board. I mean, I do a colonic every day, Judith. I do a colonic every day.
except the dry days.
And Gino does too. I sometimes, yeah, when he dry fasts for a few days, he doesn't do it. But
So even doing enemas for like 6 liters doesn't give you the same result than doing a colema.
no, 6 liters is not enough. I mean, yes,
A
we say in
colema's 20 liters.
yeah.
Just think about if you have to wash your car, you have, you know,
Yeah.
liters versus many liters to wash. Which is going to be able to do a better job?
Yeah.
The more water you put through to, the better the washing. The colemas, the enemas, and the colonics, whatever, they're only going to be able to wash what the body has loosened up. Like the census of colon therapy out there is colonics going to wash out all your colon. Without the fasting, you're only going to go so far. You're not going to go in at the cellular level. You're not going to go. You're only going to go so far. It's the fasting that loosens the things up. So we're just washing out that debris, and we want it out as quickly as possible. That's the difference here. So, you know, less is more, but washing, you know, cleanliness is next to godliness. So that's got a lot of truth in it. We want to keep washing, just like we wash our external body. We want to wash our internal body through the mouth and through the back end.
Oh, thank you.
Just don't be discouraged. Don't get nervous. Go try some of the different things that we suggested. You know, the different massages or whatever you can find there, and let us know how it goes. You know, but just surrender. Don't hold on. You're getting. It seems like you're getting a little frustrated because, and the more you get frustrated, the more you're going to hold on, and it's going to be hard to release. So
it is working.
Back off.
You might think it's not working, but it's working.
Yeah.
And you want to assist your body. It's just obstructions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, slow down.
Brittany, I've missed one. I'm sorry you lost your bees. The way environment is engineered today, and there is something so telepathic with the animals, like losing people is deep, but my connections with my bird is completely otherworldly. It's like that with the animal spirits. If I think something that doesn't resonate, the squawks, warming tones, if I have a revelation in my mind, he whistles in this beautiful song, Timber. If I fear for a second or sip in chi holding, he goes to bite me. I hope that your next adventure with the bees to come touch your soul deeply. Yep, let's connect to the fields. And Brittany again, was just Steve. I do clean every day, except the dries absolutely changed the whole fasting experience. You know, and this is what, you know, there's nobody I've seen in my 30 years that pushing cleaning the colon like we do. I haven't seen anybody. So, you know how many people put colonics down? And a lot of therapists I've talked to put colonics down. And I say, why are you putting colonics down? Is it going to keep your business not sustained? Because people are still going to stop coming to you. And I'm talking about all different therapists, not, you know, colonic therapists and massage therapists. They all put colonics down. It's okay. Whatever, you know, you don't have to believe in them. We know what colonics do with the whole lifestyle that we do. The results are this, and that, and it's continuously, and it's endless, and it's extraordinary. But you guys have, you know, clients coming in day after week after week after week after week, and I've talked to some of them, and they're not getting much results. So, well, what do you want to do? I'm not putting them down, but wake up to the new understanding. Clean up the shit. You know, it's simple. It's all we're doing. Clean up the obstructions. Brittany. Curtis, any idea how far the colema sticks out from the toilet? I have 31 inches to the wall.
I forgot the height.
I don't remember. Maybe on the. I don't know.
Yeah, you want to look
you
it
want
up?
to go measure it?
I don't know.
Yeah, Steve, I read that. Brittany, I could talk tonight, but I have not dove in entirely yet, and waiting for kidney herbs, but I have had a lot going on as between poor choices, but was even struggling with on the protocol with releasing the same way that she is. I am very obstructed though, no bowel. But when enema worked, it was diarrhea and burning, and sometimes the fluid pockets up high and sits there. Diarrhea is a good sign the body's trying to release. No releases, so when I get through this week, I can update more and tell everything I have done, good and bad, and how the protocol MFS went, and if I released, I'll ask questions about it. There is no, it's everything is a perception, the good, the bad, the ugly, because it's all beautiful. You know, this whole thing about detoxification is so misunderstood out there. You know, it's and you know, there's the information's just a lot of misinformation that all it does is confuses people, and that's all we see. And we're trying to help people let go of that confusion, which is very difficult because it's out there rampant. The confusion, it's spread out throughout the whole toxic detoxification environment. And it's, if people want to come to the new understanding, master fasts. So we've all been down those roads out there, and it's not easy to let go of all that stuff that we've been brought to believe is, you know, some truth. Yeah, everything has some truth in it, but we have a new understanding, and we continue to expand on that. Brother airs several animals daily for over 30 years, and he puts lemons into the water. Yeah, I'd rather, you know, the lemon is on its own. Use the grape juice with the lemon. The grape juice is way more powerful, and it's what we do. Brittany. So digging deep and intensely with that is going to be critical. When I do enemas, it's a lot of pain that happens, but it's okay. I think that the plasma pudding will always help, even if I don't come out in the past. Once there's a lot of mind, Brittany, a lot of mind going on. Surrender, let it all go. Lots of mind going on, and it's the mind. I've never seen it help me. Surrendering always helped. Brittany, I'm going to be so happy once the waste from the past year, bowel stagnance, and the rest of my life starts coming out. Surrender, I will need to stop thinking. Change your words.
Be happy
I'm
now.
so thankful that my body's in a constant state of purging and releasing. You know, you're waiting for something to happen that's never going to happen because of the words that you're using in the belief system. And as long as you hold on to that, you're holding on to that caca. You're just holding on to it, and you don't want anybody else to have it. Mother Earth is opened and ready to accept it and recycle it for you. Just let it go.
Good. It's almost done.
You can cut it, Curtis. So, or you can do it outside. If you have somewhere, you can bring a pail and dump, dig a hole. You'll keep the mosquitoes, maybe they'll come around. But anyway, Brittany, yes, I remember no separating myself from healed self and soul. Thank you. All right. Maybe a pail in the living room. Haha, got no yards. Thanks for letting me share. Yeah. Make sure the pail under the colima is bigger than the pail going into it, because you're adding stuff through the body so it doesn't overflow. or just underfill the top pail a little bit just so you don't overflow. You could do it. If there's a will, there's a way, and you can do it, you know, because you just got to go dump the pail in the toilet after. A little more work, but everything is possible. Don't be discouraged if you have to do a little bit extra work. Everything's possible. A lot of new things are going to be coming out in 2020, and we're excited to see. Marinka, thanks everyone. See you on the page next week. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you guys.
It's awesome to have you guys, in on the action, because we can't be doing all talking. This is for all of us, and
thank you.
it's great to
Thank you
have
for
everybody.
being, always with us. Thank you guys.
Keep that plasma love always flowing, and we'll see you back on the page. Oh wow, 3 hours again. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.